Proprietary website platforms. Important considerations for dentists, brought to you by Short Hills Design. My name is Dr. David Wank, and I'm a practicing general dentist in New York City, and I'm the president of Short Hills Design, which is a web development, SEO, social media, and conversion optimization firm for dentists. And in this talk, what I want to talk to you about is, briefly, the different types of platforms for your website. Now, what I want to just talk about really quickly is the web design workflow. And this, I equate this to denture, but it has to be done in order. Phase 1 is what we're talking about now. That's building your website. Phase 2 is marketing and driving traffic to your website. So obviously you have to have a website done in Phase 1 to make driving traffic make sense in Phase 2. And Phase 3 is actually analyzing what you're doing there. So for example, you have an office, you have patients. Phase 3 is asking your staff how many crowns I'm doing a month. Do I need to do more? Do I need to do less? What's going on with that? And Phase 4 is just making sure the wheels are oiled, of course, and having a backup. So let's talk about platforms. So the platform is simply the foundation for your website. And it is what comes with the functionality and the features of the website. You can equate that to a car. Certain cars come with four-wheel drive, and certain cars don't. And if you buy a car that does not have four-wheel drive, then you basically can't add it after. You basically have to buy a new car. So when you're thinking about the platform, it's important to know ahead of time, what features do I want? Because if you know you want a minivan that has four-wheel drive, then buying one without four-wheel drive, you're basically stuck. You have to buy a new car. So the way a website works, many, many years ago, before content management systems like WordPress, which we'll talk about in a moment, is that you have that up here in gray. You've got the website that you see in your browser, what we as normal people see. And hiding underneath that, here I have it in green, is that website code. And you needed to call somebody like me or someone technical and tell us, hi, I'd like to update my website. And you would do that, you'd send it to us, and we update it and you're done. Great. But you had to wait for us and you had to pay us every time, or whatever the case may be. So somebody said, wait a minute, what if we thought of a way that anybody who can, with basic computer knowledge, could update your website? And that's where content management systems came in. So anybody basically who can write an email or use Microsoft Word or Apple Pages or whatnot is able to now make a change to the website, which is wonderful. So of course, now that you've got that option of a content management system, the question becomes, what system am I going to pick? Am I going to pick WordPress? Or am I going to pick a proprietary system? Now, for Short Hills Design, and again, this talk is company agnostic, for Short Hills Design, what we use for everything is WordPress. And the reason we use WordPress is because WordPress gives you a tremendous advantage over proprietary systems in that you are not stuck. And I'll go back to the car analogy for a minute. If you have a Ford, like I have, for example, right now, if I want to bring my Ford to the Ford dealer to do work, I can. I can also bring it to the guy down the street who I've known for many years, who can also fix the car for me. If my friend can fix it for free for me, I'll bring it to my friend. But the point is, there's nothing special about that Ford that only Ford can fix it. That's WordPress. If it were a proprietary website, that means every time that I have work that I want to do on this car, it has to go to the Ford dealer. Whether it's detailing, or buying tires, or body work, or whatever it happens to be, it has to go to Ford. Which is all well and good, but what happens if I decide I don't like that Ford dealership, and it's the only one within 1,000 miles? Or I don't like the quality of the body work. Then what happens? Since nobody else has the proverbial key to get into that car, the instruction manual to work with a Ford, then I'm basically stuck. So either I stick with Ford and the alleged service that I don't like, or I have to sell that car and buy a whole new one. And that's what a proprietary website system is. And I'm not saying that those are good or those are bad, but something to understand before you get into that is that with a proprietary system, we go back to these phases for a second. If you build with them in Phase 1, your website, then in Phase 2, you want somebody else to help you with search engine work, or Phase 3, help you with other kind of tracking. The problem is that on the proprietary system, nobody else has that instruction manual per se. So for us, for clients that come to me from proprietary systems, I can't work with them because again, you can't. There are no instructions, there's no directions, because it's a closed system. So the reason I like WordPress as a foundation for your website is because it gives you the flexibility to work with whoever you want. Now, when you own the website, again, my philosophy for Short Hills Design is that I want you as the dentist to own everything, because it's important that you are in control of every aspect of your website. Same thing with managing the website yourself. I want you to have the ability to do that. You don't have to. You could pay me to manage your website or pay us. I don't think that's the best use of your money, but you could definitely do it. But the point is, if you wanted to do it, you could. You could build a website with us and have your spouse or your child, who's over 10 years old, manage the website for you, or whatever you want to do, or keep it in-house with your staff and train them. But the point is, by using an open source content management system like WordPress, it gives you the ability to choose. You can build the website hypothetically with me and use me for SEO, or build it with me and use somebody else for SEO. And that's the flexibility that I want you to have. And that's why I want you to understand that having a proprietary system, again, a Ford you could only bring to the Ford dealer, is basically having a padlock on your website. Now, the other thing to consider, here are the questions. And, what if I move to Billy's? And you will say, well, that's not going to happen. What if I go out of business? There was a pretty popular dental web company recently that kind of fell off the map, and a lot of people were in trouble, and nobody thought that was going to happen. What if your sister opens up a web company? What if you decide that you hate my guts? It could happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but it could happen. And so I equate that to a denture. Every denture that we make today, the patient could take to another dentist, get an acrylic burr, and fix it, adjust it. If I made a denture out of some space age acrylic that only I have, only I can reline, and only I have the burr that can adjust it, sure, I have a captive audience. But I don't want a captive audience. I don't want, if there are denture patients who we just don't work well together, I don't want to be with patients I don't work with well together. And I certainly don't want to force them to be with me if we don't work well together, if they don't like working with me. So why would I do that? And so again, that's why, as a business model, some people say, well, Dr. Wank, David, your clients are free to go anywhere. And it's absolutely right. When I lecture, I joke and I say, I could go home tonight from this talk and I might not have any clients left. And it's scary, but it's true. Because my clients, go back here. My clients own their own domain names. That's the www. They own their own Google account. You should have a Google account. Analytics, AdWords, Webmaster Tools. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. But analytics and Webmaster Tools are basically accounts you need to, quote unquote, check in with Google, so to speak. But the point is, at least for my clients, our clients, you own that account. And I'm an administrator on it, which means if you leave us, you just, unclick David Wank as an administrator and it's your data. As opposed to, if I own your Google Analytics account and you want to leave me, you can't take the data with you, which is really not fair. You own the content. Obviously, I don't want you to have cookie cutter content that comes with the site. You will get penalized from Google. This is not a talk about content, but you should, if you write your content, it's yours. Same thing with the stock images. You don't want to be in a situation where you get a phone call or a letter demanding $3,000 from you because your web developer used an image he or she wasn't allowed to use. So my clients, I think they spend between about $50 each total on stock images, and they own it. Same thing with the theme. The theme is kind of the paint job for your website, so to speak. That WordPress structure underneath doesn't really change, but you might like green, he might like blue, she might like orange. The point is that the theme that we use, the look and the feel, that so we purchase a theme to set that up, almost like a PowerPoint theme that you own. And again, 40, 50, 60 bucks, whatever it is. But the point is you own that and you have backups. I mandate that my clients have backups. I think the plugin we use, a plugin is an additional feature, like adding the premium package to your car. WordPress doesn't back up well out of the box. So you have these backups, and I require, because I know as dentists, if I don't require it, we won't do it. If they told us we don't have to cure it, we wouldn't cure composite. So I understand that. So you have the backups when you can use them. So when I do say to my clients, when I lecture, to people when I lecture, I might not have clients when I come home. I'm not kidding. And so again, the disadvantage to me as a business is that yes, you could leave anytime you want. But the advantage as a business is you can have the confidence that working with me or with somebody who says to you, hey, we'll use WordPress, you own all your stuff, I've got to earn your business. You're not a captive audience. And, obviously here, variety of audience watches my videos. So you don't have to change your website. If you have a proprietary website and you happen to be reading this and you're happy with that company and you're making money and you're bringing in patients and they're a great company, then by all means keep them. There's nothing, having WordPress versus having another platform, proprietary platform, website company.com versus WordPress, changing to a proprietary changing away from what is not going to make you any better. If you have that makeup fictional Ford that I have that can only go to the dealer, if you're happy with that, you don't need to go buy a Honda that anybody could fix, because both cars will let you drive your kids back and forth to school. There's nothing, that's all under the hood. And so those are the considerations. Along that subject, just real quick for your agreement, when you do have an agreement, please make sure you get everything in writing, due dates, who owns everything, and the expectations. If you want to know that, you want to make sure that your name shows up, in big green letters on tablet, make sure that's in writing, especially if it's something that you think might be above and beyond. If it's not above and beyond, it's not. It's kind of like when you're making a temporary and you first put the temporary in and you haven't even carved the margins yet, and the patient says, this is high. Say, wait a minute. Adjusting the bite is included, don't worry. But express those. Don't be afraid of your web company. Compare apples to apples. Understand that when you're talking to one web company versus another one, sometimes the words might not be the same. Take the time to do the research and do some reading and see so you understand what's what. Same thing with hidden costs. For us, we bill a flat rate for a website, and that's it. And there you go. If you need us, you hire us to do more work. If you don't need us, there's no kind of every month you have to pay us a fee for the privilege of calling us to pay us another fee. So find out what else, what other costs are there, what happens. SEO, in my opinion, SEO is a separate service, and it should be a separate agreement. Especially if you're doing a WordPress site, you should have the ability to build a website and then use whoever you want for SEO. So thank you for your time, and here is my contact information if you'd like to reach out to us. And I thank you again for listening, and I thank you for your time.